Welcome to Everlasting Talk. Welcome to Everlasting Talk. I'm your host, Ever. Thank you so much for joining me today on this episode. Today, we're doing a biography series on Muammar Gaddafi. Before we continue, make sure to go to my link tree on the link below. Check me out, follow me, subscribe on Instagram, X, Twitch, YouTube, Spotify, Blogger, Kick, and get your merch on Spring. Thank you guys so much. Today we're talking about Muammar Gaddafi. He was Liberian politician who ruled Libya from 1969 to 2011. Born June 7, 1942, in Sirte, Libya, raised into tribal society, experienced the rich tapestry of North African culture. He was a four children. He was the only son. He had three older sisters. As he was growing up, he was learning about the political turbulence in Libya. He developed national sentiments at a young age. He organized demonstrations against the monarchy. By 1961, he was expelled from his home and got involved into going into the military. So his political career started really early. He's only like what, like under 15, 16 years old, 17. But he began training in the Royal Military Academy. He didn't like the fact that he was being trained by British officers and often rebelled. He saw them as imperialist. He didn't want to learn English. He felt their presence in the country was unnecessary and he wanted them out. Eventually, he would graduate in 1965 from the academy. During that time, he created the free officers movement with other officers. They wanted more. They wanted a country of Libya to be free of foreign intervention, especially with them being trained by British officers. They wanted to turn against that. But the following year, he was assigned to the United Kingdom, so a place he didn't like, um, and he was really eager to leave at any point. He was sent over there for 9 months to learn English, but reportedly he didn't like England, of course, because obviously of the imperialism ideologies they had. Also, he experienced racism. And then he couldn't really celebrate his tribal or Bedouinian traditions and dress and stuff like that, because obviously in England they would segregate against him. But during that time in Libya, King Idris I was proven to become more and more popular in the country of Libya due to corruption and Arab nationalism growing in Libya and the Middle East. By 1969, the Liberian coup would begin. Gaddafi, leading the Free Officers Movement, once again would strike, taking over several areas of Tripoli and Benghazi, like airports, police stations, and other things. Eventually, over the radio, he called for the arrest of King Idris I, among others. He went ahead and renamed the country the Libyan Arab Republic, and it was a bloodless coup. Other people would call it the White Revolution or the September 1st Revolution. But yeah, there's no bloodshed. Maybe reports, maybe one or two, but it was not a bloody coup like in other countries would have. His rise to power or rise to prominence was characterized by charisma, his military acumen, and his populist ideas. He wanted a Libya free of foreign influence and wanted a government, a mix of socialism and Arab nationalism. Many countries right away recognized Gaddafi's reign as legitimate, including the United States and the United Kingdom. But eventually, he ordered within the next couple months the British and the U.S. out, the military bases. So he was really, really, really pushing on getting any imperialism, any foreign influence out of his country. By 1970, he would uh, do some human rights violations. He would expel all Italians to reduce any Italian influence in the country, as well as Jewish people and Berbers. He wanted like the country to himself and to the Libyan people. But yeah, he obviously when he was born, it was part of Italy, so he wanted all that out of his country, and you know he also created relationships with other countries, right away. He called for all Arab countries to declare war on Israel continuously and to fight them. He funded many militant groups among or throughout the world, like the Black Panther Party and other militant groups. Um, the support of these groups would eventually strain his relationship with the West, especially when it came to terrorism. Gaddafi made many allies, but also made a lot of enemies, mostly siding with the USSR, but not being communist himself. In the late 1980s and early 90s, started developing mustard gas, wanted to create weapons of mass destruction, and also was involved in two bombings of two airplanes. One was Pan Am Flight 103 over Lockbury, Scotland. Another one was UTA Flight 772 over Africa. So this would be where the Libya was declared a terrorist state, was on a watch list by countries throughout the world. He would still go ahead and be involved in politics and help create relations and create confederations with other countries. He wanted to create a anti-NATO organization with countries in Africa and Latin America. Pretty much like a anti-NATO like coalition. Um, so he would do that throughout his time. He would eventually the U.S. took Libya off um, the watch list, the terrorism watch list, 2006. Now he was more free to go ahead and do speeches. Travel to other countries. He addressed the United Nations, but he was anti-West in that speech. He was supposed to only go on for 15 minutes, but he went on for almost 90 minutes. So yeah, so he is a very controversial figure with that because people would see him be very nice, and then the next time he would go ahead and be very angry. Uh, so eventually, by 2011, the Arab Spring would be beginning of the end for Gaddafi. Um, people protested throughout the country. After a lot of fighting, he would be on the run, but was captured. There was a video taken where it shows him begging for his life. They showed a part where he got stabbed multiple times, and allegedly, during the many reports, he got shot in the stomach. Um, his body was, he ended up getting his half naked body was found and taken to the hospital where he was pronounced dead. Um, his body was taken and put in a freezer of a local market, so like a refrigerator, like a freezer you have in your home to store meat. He was viewed there for 4 days, and eventually he was buried randomly in the middle of the desert. His official date of death is October 20th, 2011, at the age of 69. He had 10 children. During the Arab, spring, a lot of countries would be involved in overtaking Libya. I think three out of his 8 sons were killed in military strikes by NATO. They were told not to engage, but they did anyways. So yeah, I mean, despite the controversies, his legacy is complex. People saw him as a liberator to Libya, creating infrastructure and the Pan American vision, and and others saw him as only for his brutality, for his atrocities of human rights and terrorism attacks. So there's some books you could check out. One is called The Brother Leader: Portraits of Muammar Gaddafi by Lindsay Hisburn. There's a book called Mad Dog: Gaddafi's Saint Words, and The Devil's Double, which is about it's a 2011 film about Gaddafi's son's body double. But also there's a Netflix series called How to Become a Tyrant. It's episode 5 on there. It talks about the rise of Gaddafi, and also a book you could check out that's inspired by that show. That inspired that show is called The Dictator's Playbook. So it tells you how, like a story about Gaddafi and how he rose to power and how his influence rose to power. So yeah, I mean, that's a glimpse of Gaddafi, Muammar Gaddafi. He was a controversial figure in the world. You know, his demise eventually, led to instability in Libya. It's still going through many things right now. Hopefully, they stabilize in the future. But yeah, thank you guys so much for joining me on this biography episode. I hope you really enjoyed it. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and follow. Hit the notification. To get more biographies. Next time, I'm talking about Kulotan. If you don't know about her, this will be next episode. Will be a great time for you to learn about her. Until next time, thank you guys so much, and I'll see you at the next one. Bye. Thank you for listening to this episode of Everlasting Talk. For more content, follow us on Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, and Instagram at Everlasting Talk. Thank you.